Where are you? Tell me that you're on. I would like to see... No, not there. That's weird. Let's try again. It's got to be somewhere. Aha! I have found you. You are there. And that's good news because now I am live. Fortunately for me. And now it's time to turn some lights on. Such as like light 1 is on. And light 2 is on. And now I've got to get rid of the echo because I've got my speaker still on, so I'll get rid of that. At least I know the sound is working. And hi, how's it going everybody? Just lining myself up and we will get started in a second. I'm going to probably make this quite short because this is apparently the Sunday that I'm not supposed to be live streaming. I'm just getting away with it, I think, because someone has left the house. So I'm going to try and squeeze it in and do this, and then you guys can ask questions after. By all means, have no problem with that. Always quite happy to answer questions. Oh, that's good. All right. So, as the title suggests, we're going to talk about finding players. It's a big issue for a lot of people, and I've had a bit of experience with it. And also I'm going to refer you to an expert as well, because I'm not necessarily the expert in this area. There are other people who are very good at figuring out how to find players. So let's start. Hi, welcome to How to D&D. My name is Fred Wheeler, and today I'm going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons. And really, I'm not necessarily going to talk about just Dungeons and Dragons 5e, any version of Dungeons and Dragons. In fact, whether you're playing Pathfinder or some other role-playing game, it honestly doesn't matter. There's lots of ways of actually engaging and finding people that you want to play with. And one of the hardest things that you can do is finding really good, great players that you like playing with, who like playing with you, and actually keeping them. Now, that's not going to be the topic for today, but finding them is topic today. We'll deal with just finding them, and we'll deal with keeping them later on. I also would like to just point out that when you're trying to get really good players, try not to sort of jump. You know, I know sometimes you get a bit desperate. It's very hard to find somebody that you really want to play with, and then suddenly you get somebody and they say yes, and you jump at it and you think, okay, and then later on you decide it's not such a good idea. So be discerning, take your time. There is plenty of time to actually do it. So one of the first things I would suggest to you when you're trying to access and find really good players is start with your friends. Start with people that you really get along with, who are your friends, who have shown some sort of interest in Dungeons and Dragons. It sounds very obvious, but it is actually the most sensible thing to do. And most people do that, which is great. Cool. Now, once you find somebody that's a friend of yours who likes playing the game and you get enough of you together, great, you've got a group. Now, when friends play the game with you and they started off having some interest in the game, but somewhere along the line, they decide, look, they're not really interested. Don't push the invite. If you find you've got friends you really want to play with, but they're not interested in Dungeons and Dragons, don't push the issue. It's really best to only invite people who really want to be there. And if somebody joins your game and you have a few sessions or one session and they're sort of like, it's not really my thing, don't push the issue. Let them go. You can do other things with those friends. You don't have to play Dungeons and Dragons with those people. Those are friends that you'll use for playing and doing other things, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes it's really hard to sort of let go of the fact that somebody that you play with, you shouldn't play Dungeons and Dragons with. Now, whether that's your issue, letting go of doing that, you know, saying, look, I don't think we should play Dungeons and Dragons. You've got to be nice about it. The whole idea is to try and keep your friendships and still play Dungeons and Dragons, right? So if there is an issue and they want to leave, let them leave. If you don't want them to play with you and they are your friends, I'm not going to give you a huge lot of advice around this because I've already said you shouldn't take advice from the internet. But be nice about it. You do not want to end friendships over playing Dungeons and Dragons. It's really, really silly thing to do. But if issues start to develop, problems with your relationship because you are playing the game, then do whatever you have to do to protect that friendship. Don't worry about the rules for Dungeons and Dragons and your game. Protect the friendship. It's fine for you to do other things with friends. You don't have to play that particular game. You can play other games. So that is the good and bad of trying to deal with friends and playing Dungeons and Dragons. A good point of call for getting new players though. I would also say that family members can be a great option, but you need to apply the same guidelines as you did with selecting friends to play Dungeons and Dragons. If you're going to have family at the table, make sure they are interested in playing. If they're not, then don't push the issue. And apply the same guidelines that I talked about with regard to friends. Same with family. You live with family. You cannot afford to have a bad relationship with your family because of Dungeons and Dragons. So don't let that happen. Also, ask around. If you have a local game store or a local game club, go and ask around, talk to people, join the group, play a few games with them, and you will probably find you can pick up a few players that way. It's a really sensible thing to do. They are set up there specifically to help you do that sort of thing. That's what game stores are all about, connecting people. If you don't have a game store, there are other options. So remember, you can post on social media, something like Facebook or Twitter. Any of those. There are usually groups that are dedicated to Dungeons and Dragons, and you can join those groups and ask around and pick up players that way. I have a Facebook group in New Zealand called Dungeons and Dragons NZ, and this group is full of people who are constantly connecting. It's why I built the group in the first place. And you should be able to find some sort of Facebook group or Twitter group, maybe not so much Twitter, but Twitter, Instagram, all those social media, plenty of options, use them. They aren't all bad. I think social media for connecting people is a really good thing. Next, I would say try to get yourself involved with organised play. Now, your game stores might have Dungeons and Dragons organised play. Usually there will be a program down at a game store. If there isn't, you can access organised play online. You don't have to necessarily be in a place where there's a high concentration of game stores. But the Dungeons and Dragons Adventurers League is a really good point of call. Now, there are good things and bad things about the Dungeons and Dragons Adventurers League, but it's a really good way for scoping out, meeting new people, recruiting new players, and really sort of connecting with people you haven't met before. And it will help develop your dungeon mastering skills because you'll get to see other people dungeon mastering. So usually the Dungeons and Dragons encounter system or program is running on a Wednesday. Go down to your local store if they have that program running and join in, play a few games. I'm not saying dungeon master, I'm just saying play, and you'll probably find some people that you get along with and you can bring them into your home group. You'd be surprised, most people who are serious about playing Dungeons and Dragons on a regular basis and aren't able to sort of just, you casual play, you may not want that, and that's what the game stores are all about. They are happy to do casual play. But if you're not, you'll be surprised. There's lots of people who want to join a full-blown campaign and play on a regular basis, like once a week, once a fortnight, once a month. You will find somebody down there. Now, as I said, the Dungeons and Dragons Adventurers League is available online, and there are just hundreds of games available that you can play online with people from organised play. They are one-shots, some of them are campaigns. You just go in, have a look at what's available, sign up, and there's sort of usually a process with the dungeon master, the person who set up that particular game. And you can take those characters that you play with to other stores or to other games as long as you keep a record. I think they used to have very strict rules around keeping records. They're a lot more lax now. It's a lot more relaxed, which is good news for you, okay? So really good for scoping out and figuring out if these people are suitable for you at your table, and you know, personality is also an important factor. So running the game yourself. Now, running the game in a game store can be rough. You don't necessarily have to do that. You need to be fairly confident in yourself to run a one-shot or even a campaign in a game store, but doing so will help you pick up new players. Honestly, I've done it. It works really well. I never have an issue filling my tables simply because I run organized play about once a week. You don't have to do it as often as that. You could do some one-shots. That's fine too. You can do it in a store and you can do it online. You can use Roll20, you can use Fantasy Grounds, you can use Skype, you can use whatever medium you find useful and you understand. And that will help you pick up new players. And you don't necessarily have to do the Fantasy Ground or the Roll20 or any of these other virtual table systems. You don't necessarily have to do them through the Dungeons & Dragons Adventurers League. You can just run them as a private game that is unrelated to organised play if you don't like the organised play system. And that will pick up more players as well. Meetups. Dungeons & Dragons meetup groups. There's probably a group near you. If you have a look on the Meetups website, there are hundreds, thousands of groups, and you just need to find one that's close to you and pick that up. And I think I started out using Dungeons & Dragons meetups. There was one in my area. It was free, so I could join and search, and I found a dungeon master, I found other players, and that's how we built our group. And now it's pay, so you have to sort of pay. So there is a cost to it. So that's one of the downsides for using Dungeons & Dragons, the meetups group. It's usually pay for the person organising it, and it's usually pay if you want to access stuff. Or the search engine's not particularly good because you're not paying them. Essentially, they've got to get their money somehow for doing this. But there are other avenues for doing this. You can leave flyers in game stores and supermarkets on public notice boards. If you don't want to do that and be quite so public and you're a little bit concerned about exposing yourself to things that you don't want to deal with, then you don't have to do that. You can use online community forums such as InWorld. There are other forums that you can use, but InWorld is huge. It's massive. It covers not just Dungeons & Dragons, but lots of different game systems, and you can access them, and there's usually people looking for games on there all the time. Next, I would say is if you're going to run a game to bring players into your group, run a one-shot. One-shots mean you only have to deal with one session, and if there's a player at the table that you're not very happy with, you don't have to continue with them. That's the really sensible thing when it comes to trying to fish for new players, is run a one-shot. And a couple of one-shots can work, or just one shot and you get your players and you move on. Nothing wrong with doing that. Honestly, nothing wrong with it. Next, remember, if you get too many players, and I know this sounds crazy, but it will happen. If you do all the things I'm suggesting, you'll wind up with too many people wanting to join your game. So remember to create a call list. A call list is essentially a whole lot of people that didn't make it to your table, and I would suggest sticking with about 6 players. Some people prefer 4, some people prefer 5. Dungeons & Dragons Adventurers League has a limit of 7 players. That's quite a lot. That's hard work. But make sure you have a list of people who want to play but can't play at your table because you've got too many. And when you lose players, you just call them up or contact them by email or whatever, social media on Facebook, whatever you're using, Twitter. Contact them, let them know, and they can fill the space. Sweet as. Nice and easy. And that's really the gist of it. Now I'm going to provide you a website link to Sly Flourish, and he's got an article on how to find players, and it goes into quite a lot of detail, pretty much everything I've talked about here, including maybe a little bit of extra information. I don't think there is. I think I covered everything that he's already talked about, plus a little bit of extra stuff. So you can check out that in the description. I'll put it down there later on. If you want to support my channel, because now I am probably going to be streaming every day, and a lot of the content is, well, it takes my time. If you want to support me, watching the videos is great. I get a little bit of money from YouTube for the advertising if you watch the advertising. I would skip the advertising at the front if it's going to run for more than 15 seconds. I can't stand that when they do that. It's a pain. But if you want to support my channel, I usually have affiliate online links down in the description where you can go and buy stuff. Don't go and buy stuff unless you want to buy it. That'd be silly. But if you buy it, I get a small commission and it costs you nothing extra. And you support my channel because I can keep doing this. It's probably going to be my only income stream for a little while. If you found this video helpful or informative, please share, like, and subscribe if you haven't done already. And look, there is a little bell symbol just above the subscribe button on the video. If you hit that, it'll give you notifications when I do more videos. I do videos every day. It won't give you a notification every single time I do a video, just the occasional one. Now, if you have any questions, you can put them in the comments below after this live stream, or you can ask me questions as soon as I stop doing the live stream. I'm not going to stop doing the live stream. I'm just going to do my end scene, you might say. And once I've done that, you can ask me all the questions you like about finding players or questions unrelated to that. I will answer questions, if I can, about topics unrelated to finding players if you want me to. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s. Okay, that's it. All right, I'm available for questions. By all means, just shove stuff in the chat section, and I will hang around for a little while. I don't know, say 4 minutes, 5 minutes, longer, depending, I guess, on how many questions I get. If nobody's got any questions, then we can just pack it up and end it here. But yeah, essentially, if you did have any questions, anything you wanted to ask me, this is your opportunity. I'm just going to have a drink of water. Ah, that's better. I will say, for those of you who had asked me to do live streaming of my games, so I live streamed my home game. This is the group I play with friends. I'm probably not going to do that anymore, okay? And I know that sounds bad, and I know a lot of people have been watching that, but it is flagging my channel and those videos all the time, and it's flagging other stuff, and it's going to cause problems. I know channels are getting demonetized, or their videos are getting demonetized or classified as not suitable for all advertisers, or the channels are being deleted. I just can't run the risk of doing that, and the kind of language that's used on the Dungeons and Dragons or D&D Friday night games, there's a lot of swearing, there's a lot of things that are kind of very inappropriate and get flagged by the YouTube bot, and so therefore I'm not going to do any more live stream, just because it causes me so much hassle, and trying to edit down something that's 2 hours long is just not suitable. There's so much of it going on anyway. So yeah, Dungeons and Dragons or D&D Friday night will probably come to an end. I might put up pre-recorded stuff, but it would be very short, so I don't have too much work. So yeah, it won't be in the same format that it was before. Just so you know now. So we've got 4 people in the room, but no questions. And time is clicking by, which is fine. If nobody has any questions, then I can pack up early and head off and do my tags and my description and things like that. Now, when will the next live stream be? I don't know. I think it'll probably be Wednesday or Thursday New Zealand Standard Time. It might be sooner. I honestly don't know, but after Wednesday, live streaming on a regular basis, like every day, will probably be the norm. I will probably try to avoid, as I said, trying to live stream on a Sunday. And yes, I know it's New Zealand Standard Time and this is Sunday, Fred. Yes, I know I'm live streaming on a day I said I wouldn't do it. But really, it comes down to whether the house is quiet enough and I have time. And yeah, essentially, that's my intention. That's what I'm going to do for the future. Will I do stuff that isn't live streamed? Yes, I will do videos that aren't live streamed, that are pre-recorded, and then I will post them up, and I will probably leave them up on private till YouTube lets me know if the video is all right or not. Because if you leave them up for a period of time, YouTube will flag a video if I've done something that's breaking the conduct, the rules of conduct for creators. And if that happens, I don't lose anything from it. I can then make adjustments, change things, reapply, and once it's satisfactory, then I can post it to the public. That's probably what's going to happen with videos. So the content, the amount of content won't change. In fact, the content will probably increase, and the type of content will probably develop. It just will be it'll be done slightly differently. That's essentially it. Okay, well, I don't have any questions, so I think it's probably a good point to sort of stop at. I'm still waiting for my webcam to arrive. It has been ordered, it has paid, the payment's gone through. I'm just waiting for them to actually deliver it, or at least tell me that it's ready for pickup. And I'm going to finish there, and we'll see you next time.